Property taxes in Gary, Indiana are skyrocketing, and we're going to talk about how it's affecting you and what you need to know. How's it going, guys? I'm Mike. I'm a real estate investor in Gary, Indiana, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to go to the Lake County Tax Assessor's website. I'm going to show you how to see how much your taxes have increased and what your difference is year over year. I'm going to be using a few of the rental properties that I own in Gary to illustrate the problem. First, I'm going to explain the major jump in your property taxes. So last year in November of 2022, voters authorized the Gary Community School Board to enact a referendum to add an additional tax to pay for improvements within the school district. Now, those improvements include, not surprisingly, increasing teachers' salaries, sports being brought back to within the schools at the middle school level, additional funding for the fine arts, as well as many other various school district projects and needs. Calumet Township Assessor Jackie Collins and Edward Golson, the Chief Deputy, said that their office has been receiving calls and visits from taxpayers about the property tax bills. Now, most of these concerns are focused on the referendum. Now, they said that this is something the voters in Gary actually voted for. I don't think the voters knew the impact that this would have, Collins said, adding for a lot of people, especially seniors on a fixed income, that it is difficult to get them to understand the increase. Now, many a tax increase has been passed over the years in the name of doing more for the children and more for the schools. It's very easy to make that argument, and oftentimes people don't realize what they're doing is voting to increase the financial burden on themselves at tax time. Now, in this case, I think that it's very easy to make the argument that Gary school districts are desperately in need of more money. Now, however, in my research, it does look like there were a few articles written last year about the questionable way which the proposal for increased taxes was written and whether or not the voters would truly understand the full implication. Nevertheless, the referendum did pass, and it has added an additional 0.00562 cents per $100 in assessed valuation. Again, I'm going to show you exactly how to go on the Lake County Tax Assessor's website to look up the exact dollar amount that your taxes increased by, because they didn't make it easy to figure out how much it was going to be. Now, increases in assessed value are protected by property tax caps and do not impact the overall property tax bill. Increases in your bills are being attributed to the referendum. The city's tax rate has not increased, Golson said. Now, so essentially, if we're going to take the Lake County tax assessors at their word, it appears as though the increase in your tax bill is 100% due to the referendum, with the exception, of course, being if your property had a new assessed value at a higher dollar amount, that too could increase your property taxes. Now, you could end up getting double teamed by two simultaneous increases, and it's no secret that property values in Gary have been going up steeply in current years, so that could very likely be the case for you. Now, the typical cost of the referendum for homeowners ranges from about $150 to $2,500 a year, depending on the assessed value of your property. Now, the question you might be asking yourself is, of course, is there anything I can do about it? Now, residents do have the option to appeal their assessed value, but they cannot appeal the tax stemming from the referendum. The tax generated by the referendum will remain on tax bills for the next 8 years. So what does that mean? Well, if the value of your house went up, you can contest that new assessed value. However, the increase in your bill due to the Gary School Board referendum cannot be overturned or contested. Guys, don't shoot the messenger. I just work here. I'm delivering bad news. I hate to do it, but that's just how it is. As frustrating as it seems, there doesn't appear to be any way to fight, overturn, or contest the school board referendum. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Lake County Tax Assessor's website, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to that in the description below. And I'm also going to show you guys how to navigate through the website to find your property and see what your increased property tax amount is. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. Alrighty, so you can see that I got Google pulled up here, and all I want you to do is just type in Lake County Tax Assessors in Indiana. Click on that, and it's going to pull up this page right here. You can come straight down to the part where it says Treasurer Tax Search and Payment. Click on that. Now, that's going to open up the Lake County, Indiana government website. It's all official. You don't have to worry. I'm not trying to scam you here. Now, if you come down here on the left, you're going to see over here Tax Search and Payment. Just click on that. And that's going to send you to a third-party website, and go ahead and go through that. Now, that this is, if you're unfamiliar with it, this is how you pay your taxes online. You can also do it in person or over the phone, but if you want to do it online, here's how you navigate through their website. So you're going to see over here on the left-hand side, there are a couple of different options. Now, I usually just click Tax Search right here on the left. and that's going to take you to this. Now, this is a little bit confusing, this page right here. It's going to allow you to look your property up in a whole host of different ways. You can search by personal property parcel number, real parcel number, mailing address, location address, and owner name. All right, folks, so I'm going to show you how to look up a property by the real mailing address. If you were going to write out a letter to them, where would you mail that? Let's use that address to look the property up. I think this is probably the easiest way you can do it. Unless you're looking up your own property, if it's registered under your name, you can go down here to the owner name section and type your name in. But some people have very common names, and it could be difficult to, scroll through all the different John Smiths out there. All right, so if you go to mailing address, we're going to use just the YWCA in Gary, Indiana as an example. So their address, you can see right over here on Google, is 150 West 15th Avenue in Gary. So you type that in as follows: the street number 150 West 15th Avenue in the city of Gary, and you click go. Boom, right here you can see it. Here's the address. You can click on that, and you can see what the taxes for this building are. Now you're going to probably notice right off the bat that it says a whole bunch of zeros. That, I believe, is probably because they're classified as like a religious institution. And remember, churches and things like that, they don't pay property taxes. So that's how, I didn't want to show you how to look up with my addresses, obviously, for various reasons. However, this will allow you to look up your house via your address, or again, you could just use your own name. Now, obviously, for personal reasons, I didn't want to throw my own address in there and look up some of my properties, so that's why I'm just using a random stock property like the YWCA in Gary. But I will show you the property tax increases for some of my properties. We're going to take a look at them one at a time. So let's get started. All right, folks, now, again, I own a bunch of rental properties in Gary. I really like to buy old houses that are broken down, and I fix them up, and I make it so somebody can live there, and I rent them out. I do Section 8. I also rent to just individuals, anybody who wants to live there and qualifies, I rent out to. So I have a duplex, a triplex, some single-family homes. I just like to fix things up and get them livable. So let's take a look right here at one of the pieces of real estate that I own. Now again, for obvious reasons, I'm going to go ahead and leave the addresses out, but we're going to look at the actual numbers. We'll go through these one at a time. So first thing I want you to take a look at right here on the page, you're going to see down here your property tax cap information. Now the property tax cap is equal to either 1%, 2%, or 3% of line 2, depending on the type of property. So let me explain that to you real fast. So what is Indiana's 1, 2, 3 property tax caps? Indiana property tax caps limit the amount of property taxes to 1% of the property value for homesteads. If you own or occupy, live in your own house, if you live there, you're only paying 1% of its assessed value. 2% for any other residential property. So me, as a landlord, as an investor, I pay 2% of the home's value in property taxes. And 3% for all other properties, so like commercial buildings and things like that, they all pay 3% of the assessed value. So when we come back here and we look, your property tax cap is capped at 1 or 2 or 3% of line 2. So line 2 up here is the assessed value of the property. So in this case, my duplex right here is assessed at $68,900. Now I'm lucky because I actually think it's worth more than that. Don't tell the Lake County tax assessors. I'll take it while I can at $68,900. But they're going to take 2%, because again, I don't live there, 2% of $68,900. We go ahead and put that into a calculator. $68,900 times 0.02, we get an amount of $1,378. That's what my property tax amount should be. So we come back and boom, there's the $1,378. However, maximum tax that may be imposed under the cap, you're going to see I'm actually going to pay $1,765. So where does that $387.22 extra cents come from? That would be from the referendum. Upward adjustment due to voter-approved projects and charges, e.g. the referendum. So in the case of this duplex that I own in Gary, I'm going to pay an additional $387 plus over the amount that I would normally be required to pay. Now, let's scroll a little bit further down on the webpage. You can see here that there are also a few extra additional charges. This depends on your zip code and where your property is at. So I have an extra levy of an additional $60 a year that gets added on for the Stormwater Gary Levying Authority, whatever that means. It's just an extra charge from the city for, I'm assuming, a project or this drainage or something they have going on over there. So when we come over here, you can see the breakdown, because remember, in Indiana, we pay our taxes twice a year. They're due by May 10th, and they're also due by November 13th, and those dates are outlined here. If you took that $1,378, you add that number on all the way up to $1,765, we divide that by 2, it ends up that I equal $882 twice in the year. And then they take that $60 that I owed for this levying authority, they split that up, $30 at the beginning, $30 at the end. So I have a total tax amount due in a 6-month period of $912.61. Okay, but what's that up from the year previous? Now, if you scroll down even further, you're going to see where you were last year. Now, again, if you want to compare this year over year, you can see that my assessed value of land was $5,800 plus $47,000. So that's approximately $52,900. So my assessed value went up like $16,000 or $17,000 in a single year. And then if you come down here, you can see what my previous tax amounts were. So last year in the spring, I paid $707, and in the fall, I paid $707. This year, I'm paying $912 and $912. So that's $205 extra dollars each 6 months. So a total of $410 increase from the year previous. That's a big jump for some people. Not everybody can afford that. And I understand, especially as the article mentioned earlier, that we talked about earlier, seniors who are living on a fixed income, it's very difficult for them to pencil in this. All right, so that was my first property. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one, just to get you guys an idea of how much the referendum is increasing. All right, so on this property, a single family home that I own, it was a $278 referendum charge. And if we come down here, you can see the amount of taxes I paid last year was $659 each 6 months. And $709, so that's only a $50 bump, not quite as devastating. Here's another single family home that I have, and again, you can see this time it's a $296 assessment due to the referendum. And if we scroll down, this year I owe $705 each 6 months. Last time it was $661. So again, $50 every 6 months added. Let's look at another property. Okay, on this one, it's $392. My assessed value is a lot higher this time, so $392 for the referendum, and my tax bill jumps from what it is now at $970. That jumped up from the $596 that I paid last year. So that is a very steep increase. That's a $400 every 6 months. Now, here's something interesting. I don't know why it's such a bigger, steeper increase here, because the value of this property is very similar to the first one we looked at, $69,900 here. And on the first property that we looked at, it was $68,900. So why do I have a $392 referendum bump? That's $400 right there. However, when we come down, we look at the final payment. What I paid again last year was $596. This year it's $970. So almost $400 extra. That's a ton. I guess it must just be because the assessed value went up. So yeah, if we look right here, the gross assessed value of improvements, that's $32,000 plus the $8,000. So about $40,700 was the assessed value last year. And if you remember, scrolling back up, this year it is assessed at almost $70,000. So that's like a over $20,000 increase in the assessed value. So this is what I meant when I said you could get double teamed by 2 simultaneous tax increases. So not only did I have to pay about $400 because of the extra assessed value, which is something I could contest, but I then also had to pay another almost $400 due to the referendum. So if people are getting double teamed out here by both the referendum and the assessed value, it's causing extra pain. I mean, that $400 a month, or excuse me, $400 every 6 months is a lot of money for some people, and I completely understand why people would be frustrated. Now, here's the problem. You can contest the assessed value. You can go to court, you can hire an independent appraiser to come out, and that's going to cost you $400 or $500 immediately, so that's almost the cost of the tax increase. So you can hire that independent appraiser to come out and appraise your house. The bad news and the good news is the same thing. Most likely, your house has gone up in value, and all of the assessed values that I'm seeing on my properties are less than what an appraiser would probably appraise it for. So you might waste money to try to hire an appraiser. The government's saying it's only worth 60 grand. The appraiser comes out and tells you it's worth 75. Take it from me, a real estate investor. I do nothing but look at Gary, Indiana real estate all day, every day. I love it. And the values that the government has come up with are actually beneath what I think the fair market value is. So if you do try to contest it and you pay for that appraiser and they come in and they end up telling you, yeah, man, we think it's worth more than what they're assessing it, you just wasted all that money on the appraiser and now still have to pay your property taxes. So if you are going to contest it, if you do think that they've got the value wrong on your house, which it's the government, the odds that they've screwed something up is astronomically high. I'm just saying, be careful. You might even want to just talk to a real estate agent first, because that real estate agent Is it going to cost you anything? And you could just say, hey, here's my address, here's the condition of my property. What would you sell it for? And if they're saying, yeah, we'll sell it for 80 and the government has it assessed at 60, the appraiser's probably going to come in, and the real estate agent might be wrong, but the appraiser and them are going to probably be a little bit closer together. So just make sure you're careful. Don't set yourself up for failure. I don't want to see you make a payment that you don't need to an appraiser, okay? But if you do contest it, good luck. Please reach out to me. Leave a comment down below. Find me on Instagram at Millennial Mike, because I'd love to know how that experience went for you. I'm going to take a look at the last couple properties I own in Gary real fast. Okay, so for this one, you can see it was a $250 increase due to the referendum, and year over year I paid $559 in 2022. This year I'm paying $603, so about a $50 every 6 month increase. Okay, over here, $175 for the increase from the referendum, but you can see that this property is only valued at $31,000. This is very, very cheap property. $175, my property taxes bumped from $433 every 6 months to $474, so that's only a $41 increase. And last but not least, a $250 increase on this $44,500 single family home that I own. And my 6 month increase, I did pay $555 and now I'm paying $600. So $45 a month for an increase. Guys, I know this video is really just mostly specific to people in Gary who are dealing with the property tax increases. Hopefully it was valuable for you. Leave a comment down below. If you're thinking to yourself, why would I ever network with or talk to a real estate investor? I'm not interested in investing in real estate in Gary. Dude, I get it. If you live in Gary and you're just a regular homeowner, I'd still love to have you leave a comment down below, because there's no reason why we couldn't help each other out and network. Still a good resource for you, because I can tell you things like, hey man, don't pay for an appraisal, because they might have actually gotten your house right, and I don't want you to waste that money. As much as it sucks to have to pay more in property taxes, don't get me wrong, I agree with you, but I would hate to see salt poured in the wound by paying for the appraisal on top of it. Appreciate all you guys for watching. Thanks so much for the people who support me on my journey. I know the property tax situation is frustrating. I do want to see the schools do better. I think that Gary schools need help, need more money. Teachers hadn't had a raise in 12 years. Not having sports at the middle school level, I mean, I played middle school soccer. I would love to see the kids be able to get out there and play it. So at some point, the money was going to have to come from somewhere. Certainly, I would love to see some of the houses in Gary get demolished that need to be demolished. There's burnt out houses all over the place. 13,000 abandoned houses and structures in the city of Gary. The amount of traffic light cameras that don't work in the city are ridiculous. The potholes, the roads are terrible. The city clearly needs to take some action. I don't want to see it affect seniors. I think that there's a really good argument that could be made that there should be an exemption if you're 55 and older or retired, that you are exempt from it. As an investor, I don't think, I never thought that I would utter the words, I want to pay more taxes, because I don't believe the government really does a good job. I think that they mismanage funds. I think that they're incredibly irresponsible. However, Gary property taxes are so low. Yes, I think for me, for the way that I run my investment, for the way that I run my business, I don't have a problem paying $50 every 6 months more if that would actually translate into better roads and more police officers to keep the city a little bit safer, and tearing down some of the abandoned structures and cleaning up the city. If that doesn't transpire, if the schools don't get better, if the teachers don't get a decent raise, if we can't start to see some of the students here actually do better in school and have better test results, then yeah, I'm very frustrated that, as always, it seems the government has a wonderful job of misappropriating funds and creating waste, fraud, and abuse. But you know what? Here's your chance, Gary. Please, prove me wrong. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.